The anime is based on the legendary ultimate way of the sword that existed in the time of the Warring State, time of corruption, and it is about a hidden style that uses no sword. Yasuri Mitsui, the 6th generation Kyotoryu head, was exiled 20 years ago to an uninhabited island with his family because the one who came to power in the Japanese shogun feared his power. But now he died 1 year ago, leaving his 2 kids behind. Yasuri Shishika and his sister Nanami, who are considered the 7th generation Kyotoryu head. Over the years, the father prohibited the use of any sort of blades and made them understand how the human body can be the sword itself. One day, a girl with a white head named Togami came to the island looking for the father, and there she met his son, who's out to get some fresh water for him and his sister. After a few minutes of conversation, she gets to know that the person she came to meet died 1 year ago. Then she reveals her real identity. She is the general director for the army of the shogunate and she serves as a strategist. She also reveals her secret mission. She's looking for Shikaze Kiki's sword, the greatest heretic of the heretical swordsmith. Within 25 countries, he gave 1,000 swords, and by time, people realized that the more of his sword a country had, the better they did on the battlefield. Among the 1,000, there are 12 swords that are incredibly unique. Their evilness is way greater than what they ever heard before. Now she's ordered by the government to collect these swords, and she needs their help, since they already asked for help from ninja or other swordmen, but they all betrayed them for money or honor. Now she's asking for help from Shishika, a swordman who doesn't work for money nor wield swords. And most importantly, she says that people who work for love can be trusted, and she asks him weirdly to fall for her. Suddenly, Nanami quickly pushed both Togami and her brother in order to protect them from a ninja attack. Shishika rushes on an instinct and chases the one who attacked them. It is now clear that Togami was followed to the island. Shishika meets Kyuri, a ninja wielding one of the 12 swords, and he pulls out of his mouth. Then they start fighting. Shishika reveals that Kyotoryu is a technique that breaks the opponent's sword in two, and this is what he wants to do. But she came out to remind him of the value of that sword, and he can't break it. After this, Komori manages fleeing away and taking Togami as a hostage. Then he shows his talent in changing his appearance and making it look exactly like the girl. Right after, he leaves her cuffed in the forest and he goes to kill Shishika. He pretends to be running towards him, but surprisingly, the boy kicks her away, and it turns out the disguise wasn't worth it because the boy doesn't recognize faces easily. Komori then reveals some secrets about Togami and says she's only looking for recognition and fame by collecting the swords, and she's the daughter of the leader of the last rebellion, Hida Takehito, who betrayed the shogun. Also, the girl is doing all this in order to take her revenge from those who caused the death of her father in front of her eyes. Shishika stands on Togami's side and decides to kill his opponent after he got disguised exactly like him and using his super ultimate move of hitting the opponent 7 times to get him ripped apart in blink of an eye. After killing Komori, the boy finds Togami and reveals his love to her, and he will help her to collect the 11 swords left. Nanami approves her brother's decision and kisses them before they leave to start a new journey in the vast world behind the sea. Pair arrives to a large city where they decide to spend the night, and in the next morning, they will go to Gigoko Castle where the second sword Zentu Namakura is located. Its main feature is unparalleled sharpness. It can cut through anything easily. Their opponent now is a swordman called Yuniri. Before they arrive at the castle, they find a dead body of a leader discarded outside, and it is obvious that the 12 leaders are competing to collect the 12 swords. After seeing this, they learn to be more careful with Yuniri Jinkaku. As they get inside of the castle, they find the leader sitting alone in a dark room with Zentu Namakura's sword. The girl introduces herself and tries to negotiate with the man in order to make a fair trade and get the sword. Yuniri asks her to get a bit closer, and Shishika notices that she is in danger and the man is ready to kill her, so he jumps to save her. The castle lord watches in shock. How could someone finally dart his great sword that reaches the speed of light? Then he reveals that he will never give that sword, and also he challenges the boy to get closer and get it. The boy takes Togami outside in order to get an advice and strategize his attack. Outside, Shishika explained that in the moment Togami crossed the boundary into the room, Yuniri attacked her, so now they are waiting outside to see if he will chase them or not. And since Yuniri didn't follow them, it means that they are safe as long as they don't enter the dark room. After a while, they return and Shishika attacks first, but he fails in causing any injury to his opponent since he's not used to battle, but he proved to Jinkaku that he's very strong. Yuniri, after seeing his opponent's abilities, he makes an unpredictable move and he cuts himself to increase the speed of the sword. The more it cuts, the faster it becomes. However, the boy knows he can't use his sword to cut something or someone above him, so by doing a tricky move, Yuniri finds the boy in the roof where he can't use his sword, and by this, he gets defeated. The third sword sent to Tsurugi that is located in the Senzu Shrine. As they arrive at the shrine, they meet Tsuruga, the priestess, and the owner of the sword. Togami tries to negotiate with Mazi in order to get the sword, and she suggests making a deal. After getting the sword, her government will take care of all the issues in the shrine. After knowing more details about Shishika, the priestess says that she's willing to hand over the sword, but they must agree on some conditions. At the end of the day, Togami goes out to inform Shishika what the priestess said. Mizai said that Togami has to find the first 1,000 blades without any help of Shishika. Then the boy has to defeat the priestess to get the sword they are looking for. In the next morning, Togami went outside to investigate the sword and find the one which Mizai asked her to find. And at night, the priestess and Shishika get to talk and know each other more while having a drink. There, the woman reveals that she used the sword for medical reasons and she needs it to save people's life, and that is why she will do her best to defeat Shishika. She also asks him if he ever killed someone, and he answers he killed 2 people in order to get the first 2 swords. A few minutes later, the boy changes the answer. He adds one more person to his list and shocks the woman by telling her that he slew his father. Right at this moment, they notice Minowa Kuzami, one of the 12 leaders, a man who uses chain to attack and is after the sword as well. But despite of his huge power, Mizai manages killing him. Later at night, Shishika meets Togami, who tells him she has found the original sword, so now he should prepare himself for the battle against the priestess that is scheduled for the next day. At noon, the fight gets started. Mizai unexpectedly runs and drags the boy to the woods where many swords are tied to the trees, and realizes how the previous condition was just an excuse to bid time to make this trap. The priestess uses an absolute self-defense art in which you don't need to be armed, but she couldn't catch the boy, and he forced her to chase him in return in order to get her out of the battlefield she prepared and keep her away from her sword. But she was way smarter than the boy. She pulls out the original sword from the ground and she starts her attack by throwing the sword and jumping to it. Shishika calmly uses the palm of his hand and defeats her. Togami arrives and sadly, now they own the right to take the third sword. The shrine will return to how it was before and the sword get involved. The pair received a letter of challenge from Sabi, challenging them to a duel for Shizaki's sword. Sabi is a cruel man who seems to lose all his humanity after spending too much time in swordsmanship. While the pair is on the way to the designated place, Nanami is alone in that isolated island, and the 3 of the sword collectors are there to take her as a hostage. One of them is called Kamakiri. He went alone to discover the island, and there he finds Nanami. After underestimating her power, he jumps to kill her, but he opens his eyes after a while to find himself tied to a tree. Nanami is too powerful, and she doesn't have any mercy. The girl tried to make him say any information about the reason that brought him there, but he refused, so she kills him and does good by burying him beside his friend who got killed in the first day by her brother. After a while, Shushu, one of the 2 others, decides to go as well and meets her in the middle of the woods, but he also gets killed after trying to kill. Mitsubashi is the last one, and he watched the past fight carefully. The impossibility of making out alive was clear, but suddenly the girl starts coughing. Here, the man takes advantage of her illness and attacks, but this doesn't work as well, and he gets killed at the end just like his companions. By this, the girl proves that she might be way stronger than her brother and she's in danger since Shishika became famous and all the sword collectors are desperate to knock him down. The journey to collect the 9 swords that are left is still going. Don't go anywhere, wait for the second part. Until then, take care.